Hello folks, this time we're looking at an LBSC Open A steel framed version. You may notice this video is similar in style to a couple of others I've put out. This is basically me banking a video for a week that I forget to film something else. So apologies if it's a bit repetitive. Hopefully this one will be a bit more of a speed run and we'll be able to sort of get through a bit quicker. The last video was a bit long, I think. So the prints come like this. Main wagon body, two separate sides. My SER ballast wagon kit is assembled with a slightly different chassis. This one's a little bit simpler, just two separate sides, one with brake gear and one without. The first thing to do is support removal. I'll get onto that in fast motion in a minute. But just a couple of points on that beforehand. The brake gear, I don't know how well you can see this while it's still attached. Some of it looks a bit like the support material, so don't snap it off instead of a support. And some of it is actually thinner than the support material, so you do have to be very, very careful while releasing this one from the supports. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. There are a couple of hidden ones, like up here under the bars at the end. And this wagon is available with sheet rails as well, much like this one. The sheet rails were sort of the earlier version, they got removed a bit later on. And there are two different styles of end as well. One of them is the ones built by Cravens, one of them is the ones built by BRCW, and I can't remember which is which, but one of these is one of each. So I'll get on with that. So after removing the supports, there's still a few bits of, hopefully you can see some of this, sort of little nubs where the support material was attached, so I'm just going to go through and attack a few of those with a file, get rid of them. There's a few bits like inside here as well where there's a bit of support material left that I couldn't get to earlier. I should be able to get that out with a file. I'll try and go through the models and remove those bits from the prints for the production version, but for now that's still on there. And yeah, just a bit of a general tidy up under here as well. The idea is that these will drop into the side here, but I've deliberately made them very, very, very slightly over length so that you can file it down either end to get an exact fit, so I'm going to do that at the same time. I'm just going to do that off screen, so I'll be back in a sec. So I've done a bit of tidying up on the main body and on the ends. Some of the bits you'll need to watch out for are around the thinner parts here and around the brake sort of area. Hopefully you can see some of the detail in here. And for assembly, these parts will slide up against the stops on the edges there, and I've just filed the ends down so they just about fit, but aren't loose. Next job is to paint this, because the bits will stick together much better if they've got some paint on. So we'll do that now. Any generic plastic primer should be okay for this. So back from putting a little bit of primer on these. Check that out. That's looking alright. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but I can actually read the LB and SCRY lettering on the axle boxes. Yes, I went back and had a look, and we'll just have a look at a couple of detail differences, which is easier while it's in primer. Between this is the BRCW version, this is the Cravens version. I think I've got that the right way around. Anyway, a couple of the differences. You can see here, this one has sort of diagonal ends to the headstocks. This one does not. If I can get that in such a way that you can see it. This is going to be really hard to try and show. The buffers as well are a very slightly different style. The BRCW ones are a little bit chunkier. Both of these are available with or without the sheet rail, so you can ignore that for now. The other point is the hooks and so on, a couple of the fixing points are circular on the Craven's version and triangular. See those? There, and there on the Birmingham version. So that's pretty much the only differences between them. So the next thing to do is to fit the bearings, if that will stay there, which it won't, it rolls too well, this one. Stay. Okay. So I've got my bearings down here. Sometimes they press fit, sometimes they don't. 3D printing is very, very slightly different every time, so you can't be sure, but if they don't quite fit perfectly, just tease it out with a 2mm drill bit. So something should drop straight into there, more or less. Push that in. Should sit very nearly flush with the side there. And I'm just going to go around and do the rest. Paint this first, or do I just assemble it? I'm going to go with just assembling it, I think. Actually, I'm immediately going to change my mind and go with painting it first, because I haven't assembled the wheel set for that, and that'll take me a little while to do. So, brush some of the rubbish off. I'll go off and paint these, and then we'll assemble it after that. Okay, so it turns out I was talking bollocks a minute ago. I realised I forgot to buy the paint for this. So, yeah, well done me, I suppose. What I've done instead is put together the wheel sets, so we're going to fit those now. These are Allen Gibson 13mm wheels. It's quite hard to find 13mm wheels, oddly, so I had to buy the Loco, or the tender ones, and just fit the pinpoint end axle. Quiet computer. Okay, done that, used a back-to-back gauge to make sure I got that right. It's worth doing not just for the back-to-back, but so that you don't get a weird angle on your wheels as well. Because then things will wobble about like nothing. So, first job, stick a side on. So I'm going to put dab of glue at the end, super glue I'm using for this. It's not plastic, so solvent welds won't work. And I'm just going to put a few dabs down the middle as well. Later, slightly better designed wagons have an extra thing in the middle to help you line it up. This one doesn't. I'm going to hold that in place, make sure I've got it nice and vertical as well. And nice and straight, which I think that is, pretty much. Hold that in there for as long as necessary. I'm not entirely sure how long that is. And just being careful that no super glue sort of seeps out the bottom and sticks the wagon to me. I seem to be rather good at getting things stuck to me. Okay, so that appears to have stuck. That is, I'd call that vertical-ish. Close enough. So I'm just going to test fit the other side first. Where's my other wheel gone? There it is. Drop that on there, drop that on there. Okay, that seems to have worked. The other thing you have to be careful of, which I didn't do here, is to make sure that it stays nice and level. You can do that by assembling it on a bit of glass or, well, anything really, but as long as you know it's level. I know this desk isn't level, so I can't use that. But just to check, sort of poke each corner down, there's no rattling or anything, and it rolls really rather nicely. So next job, I think, is to fit some coupling hooks in the end, and the actual coupling hook. So, sorry, cosmetic coupling hooks and actual coupling hooks. Paint, and I think we're pretty much done. So we're back with the finished model. So with the addition of paint, transfers, some coal, and a few other little details, this wagon is now finished. I haven't yet added the coupling hooks in the end because I run out, but any sort of generic wagon coupling hooks should fit those. I think I use the ones from Dark Castings. Wheels are fitted and all turn freely. I put a coal load in there as well and put a strip of lead in underneath just to give it a little bit of running weight. Other than that, this wagon is pretty much finished. So there we go.